Hello, my name is Marlene Rivera and I'm here with Christian, which I'm going to interview today for my organizational behavior class. Now, thank you for joining us here today,
No problem.
Christian.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
Now, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions regarding your position as a manager. Let's start by introducing yourself.
Okay, well, hello everyone. My name is Christian. I am the activity director here at Lexington and Wheeling. I've been with this company for over 5 years. However, out of those 5 years, I've been activity director for 3.
Okay. So, what do you do from like on a day-to-day basis?
Okay, that requires me to ensure that the residents are taken care of, that our residents and patients here in our facility are engaged. I do have a team that helps me with engagement, documentation, and just day-to-day activities that our residents require.
Okay, so you are an activity director at a nursing home.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, so your day-to-day duties. Can you talk to me a little bit about your day-to-day duties?
Yeah. So my job requires me to attend various department head meetings where we discuss everyday day-to-day operations in a facility. But my job also requires me to ensure that residents are engaged, residents and patients in our facility are engaged, meaning daily activities, also meaning daily documentation of patient charts.
Okay. And what are your main expectations for your employees?
With my employees, I do like to have an open communication with them. From day one of orientation, I do like to sit down with them and let them know what my expectations are. My management theory is from day one, you should be able to know what I expect from you. So moving forward, it's an easier process, and I will also ensure that employee success in the departments. So I definitely expect that my employees do offer great customer service, are detailed with their work, and also very detailed with their documentation.
Now, what steps do you take to reduce turnover?
Okay, turnover. Turnover is a topic that everyone always talks about. In my theory, turnover is not always bad. Sometimes turnover could be a good thing, whether it be promotion. It could also be a team member that doesn't fit properly in the team. Turnover can be positive. However, you always want to reduce turnover as much as you can. Just for various reasons. One of the things that I do to reduce turnover is definitely be there for my team. I want them to know that I'm there for them, that we can always have open dialogue. Another thing that definitely helps with retention would be showing appreciation to an employee, thanking them for the work that they do. In our industry, it's very hard. There's a lot of work. Day to day, sometimes employees may feel underappreciated or they just may feel overworked. And definitely taking the time to acknowledge their hard work, it has shown that they're very grateful and very loyal to the company.
Okay. Now, if the expectations are not met, what type of corrective action or discipline do you take?
Well, being a manager, unfortunately, sometimes we're going to have to make those difficult decisions of having in those difficult talks with employees. If expectations are not met, one of the things that I personally like to do is definitely let's analyze why this occurred and how we can fix it for the future. Then based off that, having that one-to-one conversation of this is what was wrong, this is how I want it to be done for the next time, we can move forward from there. My theory is disciplinary action is always the last kind of resort, just because as a leader you should be coaching your team and developing them as they go. I always think giving a write-up or a teaching was kind of an easy solution. However, sometimes it is required, it is needed. However, coaching is my main thing.
Okay. So, since you are the activity director, do you consider to have a fun working environment?
Absolutely. I absolutely love my job. Not only does it allow me to be creative, it also allows me to deal with difficult situations where I have to get creative to be able to resolve them as a leader. In my department, I do like to create a fun environment where my staff can always feel free to talk to me. They can give suggestions of things that are working or not working, things that they like or don't like. This is truly our second home, and I want it to feel that way. So I want my staff to feel comfortable. I want them to be happy to be here. So because I feel like that will reflect on the quality of work that they provide.
Okay. Now, how do you reward your employees? Do you offer economic rewards?
Okay, so our company here, we do annual evaluations. An annual evaluation is where we will discuss the progress of you as an employee, and then based off that, we will give you a certain score and a certain rank. Based off that rank, we do provide more money each year as an incentive for the hard work that you provided for this company. However, one of the things that I like to do is I like to definitely acknowledge my team at least once a month, whether it be with a little present, with a little kind of good job, cheer talk for them. And I feel like that definitely helps them because unfortunately we cannot always provide that economic plus for our staff, which they absolutely will like, but this is how we as managers have to get creative on how we can show incentive and be thankful for our teams.
Okay. So you say that monthly you have like a little meeting with your staff. Is that how you
Yes.
give your performance feedback, or just on your annual?
So, in theory, yes, we are supposed to give it annually. However, as a leader, I do think that you shouldn't wait a whole year to discuss what you're doing great and what you need to work on. I think as you're seeing it the day of, you should, say, hey, you know what? I just noticed you did that. You did such a great job. Please keep up the good work. Or if you see something that maybe you're not so satisfied with, this is the time that you should take to educate that employee and let them know what your expectations are, because if you do wait a whole year, it just comes routine behavior for them, and you really truly don't want that.
Okay. Now, what is your main motivation for your position?
So one of the things that motivates me to come into work definitely is not the title that I have, but the responsibilities of my job. So every single day, I get the honor of taking care of someone's mother, father, grandfather, or grandmother. I am entrusted with people's lives, entrusted with their quality of life, and I do take that very serious, and that's something that motivates me every day. Like I mentioned before, this industry gets very hard. Regulations change very often, which make it very hard for us to do our job. And there's a lot of headaches every single day. But one of the things that allows me to get up every single day, dress up and come to work, is knowing that I'm gonna be there for a person who their loved ones unfortunately cannot take care of. And that I get to come to work every day and make someone stay happy, be there for someone when they're sad, be there for someone in their last days, or just be there for someone when they need someone. And that's one of the reasons why I get very happy to come to work every day.
Are you a good listener?
I would say that I'm a pretty good listener. One of the things that I did learn, going through school and all these courses and everything, was definitely get a chance to listen to what people have to say, and then move forward from there. Because communication is a two-way street. Not one person can take the whole lead, and listening is the same way. In order for you to be able to respond to me, you need to listen to what I say, kind of thing. So I would say that yes, I am a pretty average listener, or a little bit above average, I would say.
Now, how do you go about when it comes to dealing with conflict between your employees?
Okay, so this question is a little bit tricky because each conflict is different based on what happened, what occurred. One of the things that I definitely do like is, and I always try to tell when I do training managers is, there's always two sides to a story. Get to know both sides of the story. Never take one side. Just be strictly in the middle. And then when it comes to resolving conflict, your goal is to always make sure that the outcome benefits the company. It doesn't benefit a certain employee. It always benefits the company, whether it be policy, whether it be procedure, or whether it be just goals that the company has.
Do you believe in creating individualized relationships with each of your employees, or do you just have a uniform way of talking to all of them?
Okay. I would say I'm kind of in the middle with this one, just because when I do have my mass meetings with my team, I do like to treat them each the same. However, when it comes a little bit one to one, I do like to get to know who they are, what they like, because that way I can kind of provide good leadership for them. Because, for example, let's say you are a audio learner. You know, the way I teach you and educate you, it's not going to be the same for a person who is a reader. It kind of goes a little bit like that, you know. I like to get to know who they are, their kids, because when they need days off, I can kind of understand them a little bit better. When they're frustrated, when they may be feeling burnt out, I can kind of see why and how I can help them best. Because how I can help you is not the same way I can help someone else. So I do feel if I can create those kind of individualized relationships, that I'm able to be a more effective and better leader for that specific individual. But then also as a department leader, I can also be an effective leader if I do provide the same treatment to everyone and when they're in the same room together.
So you do consider yourself flexible?
Yes, I do.
Okay. How do you handle cultural diversity in your department?
Okay, cultural diversity is actually something that fascinates me. I definitely like to learn about different people, different cultures, different. It's just very different compared to what I am. One of the things that's really important is if you do have someone who is very different, get your team used to it prior to them coming in. You know, let them know, hey, you know, a certain person, due to certain religious reasoning, cannot dress a certain way. You know, we would just let them know the basics and the fact that they need to respect that. Personally, I absolutely love learning about different cultures, different races, different just, I like variety in my departments.
All right. Now, how important is work ethic for you?
Well, work ethic is really, it's essential in order to be a department head. You are not going to get anywhere without work ethic. It's really important that, you know, you set yourself goals every day, you take time to write out what you have to do. Especially with me, I have a really bad memory. So for me, if I don't write them down, most likely I won't get it done. So for me, it's really important that I do write down everything that I have to do in a day, and make sure that before I go home, each and every task in that to-do list is completed. For me, that's my work ethic. It allows me to be a proper director in this company, and it allows me to ensure that I do my job every single day.
Okay. How do you set goals with your team?
Okay, goals. I love goals. I absolutely love goals. So in my department, we have two set of goals. So not only do we have goals as a team that we work on together, helping each other, but we also have individual goals. So I'm going to first start with the individual goals. And this is going to tie a little bit back to what we spoke initially regarding the relationship, the one-to-one relationship with employees, because after I get to know you, I'll get to see where you see yourself in the future, what do you want to do with the company, and then based on that, you and I can sit down and create goals, where we will have checkpoints throughout the year, where we will see how far we've made it to achieve our goal, things that we maybe need to improve on to achieve our goal, and then based off that, you know, we will move forward. But for a department, goals, I like to sit down with my team and maybe talk about what are things that we can improve in, and see kind of things that we're not so strong in, and based off those weaknesses, we will kind of create goals and then work together to and coach each other and encourage each other to make sure that we achieve these goals as a team. So one of the recent goals that we are currently working on is completion of our Reliance courses. Our Reliance courses are online courses that we are required to do, because the company wants us to do them. And right now we want to be the number one department in the whole facility. So we are helping each other, coaching each other. Hey, did you do your Reliance? Hey, don't forget it's due in 2 or 3 days, whatever it may be. And that way we're helping each other to achieve that goal.
Do you consider yourself a micromanager?
Micromanager? Absolutely not. I do have a little bit of micromanagement in me when it comes to documentation. The only reason because is with documentation, it's a legal document. So I expect it to be at a certain point with certain verbiage. It's supposed to look a certain way. However, with everything else in my department, I like to give my staff the liberty. I like to empower them to make decisions on what is best for them, what's best for our patients and residents, and things that they truly are passionate and care about. I want them to do them every day, because I feel like if you are passionate and you care about it, they're gonna put all your energy towards it, and then, you know, you're gonna give good quality.
Your employees, and if so, how?
Definitely, I love to counsel my employees on a one-to-one basis. You know, it makes our relationship stronger. It makes us stronger as a team. I can also deal with issues that they may be having on a one-to-one basis. I can get to know them a little bit better. I can, you know.
How do you motivate your employees? How do you keep them motivated?
Okay, well, motivation, first you have to get to know your team. You know, what motivates them, because something that may motivate me may not motivate you. So that's why, you know, I'm going to keep going back and back to getting to know your team, getting to those relationships. That's very essential in order for you, because you will not be able to be successful without your team. And if your team is not successful, then you're not successful. So it's really important that, you know, that you get to know what.
So how do you separate your personal life, or something's going on in your personal life that stresses you? How do you not bring that to work, or how do you handle that?
Okay, that's actually a very good question. It's unfortunately that's something very difficult. As you know, life goes on outside of work. You have families, you have school, work, whatever it may be, that makes it more difficult for you to be here. One of the things that I always like to tell my team is anything you're going through or dealing with, just leave it outside the door. You know, it's not the patient's fault that you're having a bad day. It's not your patient's fault that you may be arguing with your spouse. It is very difficult. One of the things for me personally, I like to get in the zone, kind of just think about projects, think about reports that I have to do that keep me so occupied that I truly don't have the time to think about those issues that I have outside of work. And so far that's been very successful. That's something that I do like to, you know, teach my teammates how to do, and my employees as well how to do, just because, you know, again, it gets very difficult out there, you know, and I feel like if you're going to provide good customer service, you cannot provide those stress, those issues onto your customer, because then that's going to define the customer service quality.
Okay. Now, when it comes to change, and some of your employees are resistant to change, because change is not easy, it's hard. How do you handle resistance to change?
Okay, change happens. Any company you're going to, any place of school, any place of work, it's going to happen. So we need to be able to adjust to change now, because once you get, you know, into higher positions, into more difficult environments, you're going to have to be able to deal with change. Unfortunately, sometimes there are employees who are very resistant to change because they may be so used to a certain way for many years, or they just absolutely love that way. And you know, more power to them when that happens. One of the things that's really important with change is communication. You need to communicate the upcoming change, why we're doing the change, and how we can work together to survive the change. Very difficult. Recently, I had a staffing change that occurred with my department where I had to unfortunately reduce my staffing. Was it very difficult? Of course it was. People had to do a little bit more work. We had less people to depend on. It was very difficult, and of course a lot of the employees did not like that, just because it was more work for them. But once you show them the goal and the reason why we did it, then they can kind of see it a little bit better. Because unfortunately they only see their side, but if you allow them to come into your world and see your side of why we're doing this, why we have to do this, then they can kind of understand a little bit. And if we work together to achieve that goal, then maybe we can get that employee back in the future. So I think it's very helpful once you communicate with someone and be very honest of the reason why your change is happening. And you know, change is not always bad. Change can actually bring very good things to the team, or to the company. And then unfortunately sometimes it could be bad, but then you know, you just try to always make it as positive as you can.
How do you handle stress?
Okay, so stress, unfortunately, that's something that we deal with each and every day. It's part of the job, it's part of life. I have gotten a chance to know the things that make me feel better or that reduce stress inside of me. For me, I love music. I absolutely love music. When I'm feeling very stressed, I like to play a little more relaxing music, music that makes me think a little bit better. One of the things that also helps me with stress is breaking down my task. Because if you look at a task list that's around 25 items a day, you're just gonna look at it and be like, oh my god, how am I gonna handle this all day? When you break it down slowly but surely, you know, you're gonna achieve it, and hopefully, you know, you can get completed by the end of the day. Another thing that helps me will definitely be driving. Driving calms me down a lot. I like to go for long drives, and it just helps me out. Especially when you put music or stuff like that, it totally helps me out.
Okay.
Once you know what motivates a person, you will use that to ensure that you know you can get where you want to with them. So, for example, if you're a student and you finishing getting your degree and then getting that position you want, that's a motivation for you. So you know, if you're one of my employees, I would sit down with you and, you know, kind of get to see how I can help you get there. Motivation can be something like finishing the semester with an A. And then you know, we will find things that are going to help you get there, motivate you to do your homework, because, you know, again, it's really hard in our industry. It gets very difficult. So once we know those things that help you, we can go forward.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Christian. Well, thank you so much for taking the time, you know, to meet with me and answer my questions. I really appreciate it. And it sounds like you're a great manager.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for your time.
It was a pleasure.